Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2014 primary election specials. It is a Sonny Hirsch production. We are here live at the CAN TV studios. I'd like to welcome my co-host Jim Nally.
Thank you.
And a pleasure to have you. We're going to have two live guests in the first half hour. Cynthia Santos, who's the commissioner for the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago, MWRD, from here on in, and Tom Courtney, who's on the slate with her. Adam McGuest is also on the same slate. He's got a previous engagement, but they're a three-person slate, and we will be talking to them in person. In the second half hour, Michael Strom, who is a candidate for the 9th Judicial Subcircuit, will be here. He won't be here. He will be calling in. He is actually the highest rated judicial candidate on the ballot. Of the 12 different bar associations, he's got the highest marks for 8 of them. That includes missing martinis, Manhattans. No. The bar associations, of course, are the legal things, and he's got highly qualified, highly recommended. And of course, Jewish Chicago is available free throughout the land, from coast to coast. Well, on the web, from coast to coast and sea to shining sea. I also want to thank Keith McDonald, who's always plays a big role in helping us put together the live shows, together with Mr. Cameraman. I don't remember your name. I'm sorry. Jabari Tolliver. And I want to thank you very much. He works for CAN TV, and he's manning the camera here, and he's been a great help. And he actually remembers our last live show a year ago, October, when we had Anita Alvarez. And Jim, this is an interesting election. Almost nobody's challenged this time around.
Well, yeah, particularly on the Democratic primary, there's one statewide contested race, which isn't really much of a contested race. The Quinn Vallis ticket has an opponent, but that's the only statewide. And on the countywide, there's only one countywide elected official, Tom Dart, who has any sort of a challenge. And I don't think either Governor Quinn or Sheriff Dart are going to have much problem.
No, as a matter of fact, it's interesting because this is the first day of daylight savings time, and I had to, I had to get up nice and early, so I actually got to hear they changed the score to public relations, and they had Craig Dellamore of WBBM interviewed Baker, Evans, and Dart, the three candidates. And considering how many petitions they need to get, I was in shock at how much trouble these guys go to. And I don't think this is I know Baker's run quite a few times.
Yeah, he's kind of a perennial candidate.
Yeah, and Tom Dart is just so popular, I don't know where he's going. I guess we could mention the Republican gubernatorial race for a little bit, because we're going to go more into Democratic detail and judicial detail. There's basically two challenged races there. And you've got Jim Oberweis of the ice cream people, who's running against Doug Truax. And it was interesting. I was reading the Western Daily Paper. I can't think of their name.
Daily Herald?
The Daily Herald, right. And they were basically saying that they're a mirror image of each other in everything except foreign policy. And basically, Oberweis, who's always been a staunch conservative, Tea Party-like Republican, has switched over to Obama's foreign policy, which is one of the reasons Jewish Chicago has endorsed Doug Truax as opponent. And sorry, Barack, your foreign policy leaves a little to desire. The governor's race, Dillard's starting to close in a little bit on Ronner. But I hate to say it. I mean, when I look at those 6 candidates, I want to move to another state. It's just not all that great. I do want to let people know also that this live show is going to be repeated in its entirety on CAN TV on Monday, March 17th at 9 p.m., and that would be on CAN TV 19, and it'll also be seen Tuesday, March 18th at 4 p.m., so that'll be right before Election Day, 9 o'clock at night, and Election Day, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll be able to catch this again live. And we have quite a presence on CAN TV this week. We did 3 election specials plus our regular show. So we're going to be on Tuesday at 8 o'clock on Channel 21 at 8 p.m. with the half-hour election show. Thursday, 7:30 p.m. on CAN-TV 19 with our regular show, followed at 8 o'clock on CAN-TV 21 with election show number 2. Then Friday at 8 o'clock on CAN-TV 21 is election special 3. And now we're on Monday at 9 on CAN-TV 19 and Tuesday at 4 p.m. on CAN-TV 19. And we're also seen in the Evanston system on ECTV channel 6. That's at Thursdays at 5 p.m., Sundays at 10:30 p.m., and that's actually live streaming video too, so you can catch it live on the web. Suburban stations were on Mondays at 6 on either 19 or 35, and that's at 6 o'clock, 19 or 35 and 35 north and northwest suburbs. In terms of the judicial races, you've got 2 contested races in the appellate court. Let's take the first race, which is Judge Shelley Harris, who apparently has a pretty considerable war chest. And you said you got 3 mailings over the weekend. I got them over the course of 3 different days. He's also advertising on Channel 5 during prime time, not to mention other things too. He's the only one of the 3 candidates who actually did not get a single negative mark by the bars. He is a sitting appellate judge. He's considered qualified in all the races. His 2 opponents, Fred Lyle, who I actually was in high school with for 1 year, and we were talking about the old days when I had her on a show, a very charming person. She is the official endorsed candidate of the Democratic slate. She got some not qualifieds, and the other candidate is Susan Kennedy Sullivan, who everybody really likes a lot. Everybody likes Fred Rena too, and that's actually Judge Fred Rena and Judge Susan. So, but in the case of Susan Kennedy Sullivan, people are telling me she needs a little more experience, but it's something they think she'd really be good at in time.
Well, I think what's interesting this cycle, Avi, is as much as there's really no contest for the elective offices, the governmental offices, there are a large number of contested judicial races, particularly in the sub-circuits. We have a lot of sub-circuits that have races. That hasn't always been the case the last few years because all the sub-circuits now are maxed out in terms of the number of slots that they have. So now, as sub-circuit races open, it will be because a judge retires or leaves the bench for some reason. Up until now, they've still been filling under the law that was passed 20 years ago, taking there used to be city-only judges and suburban-only judges, and as those people held those seats have retired or left the bench, they've turned those into sub-circuits. So now there are 15 sub-circuits, and there are 10 vacancies in each of those sub-circuits assigned to each sub-circuit. This cycle, there are a number of contested sub-circuits throughout the county, and it's kind of interesting because people have to remember, I've heard a number of people talking about, gee, maybe I'll vote in the Republican primary because they have a contested gubernatorial race, and that's getting the most interest in terms of the media. But I have to remind people this is a primary election on March 18th, so you do have to declare a party, and you're restricted then to voting the ballot of that particular party. So you really have to think it through is if you take a Republican ballot, say for purposes of voting in the Republican gubernatorial primary, that will not allow you to vote in the Democratic judicial primary.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but that's the way it is, and that's why, even though I'm neither a Republican or Democrat, I'm taking a Democratic ballot because I want to vote in all those judicial races. By the way, I neglected to mention that Jim in his spare time is an election attorney, also known by his superhero alias on our show, election lawyer extraordinaire. And he's always got great advice, and he really knows the ins and outs of what's doing with elections. Let me just tell you, Jim, the reason there's a list in front of you that we gave you last minute. The reason the list is in this order is because as we talk about the different candidates, they're going to be showing slides. And we want to make sure they talk about those candidates in this particular order, because that's how the slides are set up. And just so everybody knows, in fairness, we set this up in complete ballot position order. So we already did talk about Judge Shelley Harris. We didn't mention Judge Simon, who's running against, who does have opposition running for appellate, but his opponent has very poor bar marks, and John Simon has the highest possible bar, is the highest bar marks of any appellate candidate. So, my nod went to Shelley Harris in Jewish Chicago, and also to John Simon in the appellate race. In the other race, I think it's uncontested, and that's John Ellis.
David Ellis is running in the other race. He's a very well-known attorney for a couple of reasons. He was the attorney who handled the impeachment prosecution in the legislature of Rod Blagojevich. He was the prosecutor. And he's also got a very interesting sidelight. He is a mystery novelist and has won a number of awards for his writing on crime mystery type books. He's got a number of books out that he's published over the last several years.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So if nothing else, I will expect very well-written opinions from him when he goes to the appellate court.
Well, no, that should be interesting. And we're going to, after our guests, we're going to run down the regular circuit court races, and then we're going to run down the sub-circuit races. And anyway, we've got it's a whole production here today. And by the way, if you guys are not members of CAN TV or are unfamiliar with it, you can take courses here. You can do free shows on the air. I mean, you got to pay membership and all the rest of it. You got to learn the equipment. There's a lot going here. It is now a pleasure, through the magic of TV, we have magically placed our guests now in the center of the table. And we're talking about the sitting commissioner now of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, MWRD, I said I was going to say that, Cynthia Santos. Hi, Cynthia, how you doing? And Tom Courtney, who's one of her slate mates. You can shake hands with Jim.
Hey, Jim.
Hello, Tom. Good to see you.
And your fellow slate mate, Adam McGuest, he had a previous commitment, or he'd be here too.
Well, thank you for having us.
Well, first of all, thank you. We appreciate it, and you come highly recommended, of course, and we've had you on over the course of the years. And, of course, Terry O'Brien, who was the leading light of MWRD for so long, he always let me know that the one person he really cares about this election cycle is you.
He's a dear friend, yes.
So, great guy, and, of course, for 18 years, he really took a scandal-ridden agency and cleaned it up beyond belief.
Well, when I first ran in 1996, I beat Tom Fuller.
Oh, he's the former scandal-ridden president.
Right, and before he went to jail. So that's to my legacy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Terry did a wonderful job turning the agency around, and it's one of the best agencies in the state, if not the best agency in the state.
No, it is. You've got a AAA bond rating, as Chicago slips into third world junk bond category.
Yeah, and that potentially could be was an issue for us last time when they got downgraded, because when the city gets downgraded, it affects us too, and unfortunately, we have to fall party to their mismanagement. And it's a shame because we do a great job, but being part of municipal government and the same tax base, it affects our bond rating too. So hopefully this time, because they just got downgraded again, the city of Chicago, so hopefully that won't hit us again. So.
Yeah, no, hopefully. Tom, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm an attorney from Palos Heights, Illinois. I currently live in Old Town. I've been a resident of Chicagoland area my entire life. I have an interest in the Water Reclamation District because I'm very interested in the environment. I'm especially interested in some of the things we're doing as far as disinfection technology, the chlorination, dechlorination program that just instituted, as well as the ultraviolet radiation that might make the water safer for the environment.
Very good. Do you, no, that's definitely important stuff. It's, of course, the right way to do things would be to spend $1 billion dredging up the canal, but we're only about $1 billion short of that.
Yeah.
So that's a no-go. So you together with Adam are part of a slate with Cynthia.
Yes.
Yeah, it's worked out real well. I mean, we're able to be able to get in touch with more voters and get our message out. So it's worked to all three of our benefits. So it's
Yeah, and also I want to say hi to Matt Caffrey. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Who's been helping you guys along. So and he's the one I've been in touch with. Where do you see the MWRD going in the future?
Well, we're at a really interesting crossroads now with this mission that we've been put under with the US EPA and the Illinois EPA with regards to making our waterways cleaner, and they'd like to see them swimmable. I don't think that'll ever happen, but you know, like Tom mentioned, we're beginning disinfection and dechlorination. I mean, chlorination then dechlorination, and I mean, for sure, it's going to improve the river and the waterways. I wouldn't recommend jumping in and going for a swim, but you know, it's.
No, as a matter of fact, well, one thing people don't begin to think about certain things. One is that it is a canal. You don't have a sloping shoreline like in Lake Michigan.
Right.
You take one step in, and the whole thing is 10 feet down.
Right.
So if you tie up or get cramps when you're swimming, bye-bye. You know, not particularly a good thing. And by the way, if you want to check our website out, which is ntnm.org, you'll find links to everything on YouTube. We actually took a ride aboard PC-1, which is the Pollution Control 1 vessel, from Main Street all the way out, from Montrose to Main Street. And at that time, we actually saw a 5-pound carp being caught. And the guy
really?
hauled it out of the water and showed it. I think it was glowing. And I had this Evanston police hat that Chief Kaminsky had given me that I really liked. And the wind took it and blew it off and blew it into the canal. So Terry O'Brien was on board with us, and he and the guy running, I wish I could think of his name offhand, but hi, I remember you very well, but not your name right now, I apologize. They asked if they wanted to go back and get the hat. And I said, would you ever put that hat on your head again after it blew in there? And they went, not a chance. And you know what, that's not even to mention things. Like, even if everything is clean, you should see, by the way, you take advantage of those river walks these guys built. It's just gorgeous, some of them. But you've got all these animals on the slopes. It's like you wouldn't believe the nature down there.
Yeah.
I mean, the egrets and the tortoises, I mean, like dozens and dozens of different kinds of things. Not to mention the coyotes that are now in our neighborhood, which I don't mind because there are less mice and rats than ever.
And they kill rabbits too.
Tom's got to think about rabbits right now.
Yeah. It destroyed my garden. Yeah.
By the way, I have a garden also. And, a gardening tip for you, although I may not need it this year because there are less rabbit tracks in the snow than ever. I bought one of those steel folding tables like this one. And I grow my lettuce in pots on top of the table. And a rabbit can't climb up these stainless steel legs.
Oh, okay.
There you go. But you can't put a tree on top of here.
No.
No, you can't put a tree on top of it. But you can grow arugula and mescaline and radicchio and all that stuff. That'll come out well. No, I'm not a fan of bugs either. So, I mean Bugs Bunny.
I'd like to jump in and just add a couple things. First of all, I want people to remember you can vote for 3 people for this office. So it's not where Cindy and Tom are competitors. They're on the same slate, the Leaders for Water Rec slate. And there are 3 members of that slate. Cindy and Tom are here, and Adam Megest is the 3rd member. So use all 3 of your votes and make good choices like the people we have here with us right now. I'd like to throw a question out to both of you. Now, Cindy, you're a veteran commissioner.
I just want to mention, endorsed in Jewish Chicago, by the way, and it's punch 71, 75, and 76.
Correct.
We'll repeat that again later.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd like to throw a question. I think it's pretty interesting. Cindy, you're a veteran commissioner. You've got a very distinguished record that you've made. Tom, you're a newcomer to the board. How does that mesh between the two of you? You know, you're the experienced member of the slate, and Adam and Tom are newcomers.
Well, they have a lot to add to the board. I mean, I think voters should realize that somebody that has talent, like Tom with his legal background, he's done a lot of research on disinfection and cleaning the waterways. And Adam's young energy. I mean, when I first started at the board, at the district, I was in my early 30s. I was the youngest member of the board. Now I'll be the longest sitting member of the board, not the oldest, but the longest sitting member. I want to make that very clear. But you know, there's a lot to be said for energy and a new voice. And you know, the district has changed so much in the 17 years I've been there. I mean, our mission has completely done an overhaul. You know, from going from just simply worried about flood prevention and to cleaning, making sure that we clean the water as before we put it back into the system, to now we're stormwater management leaders. We're certainly going to be leaders in green infrastructure. I mean, we've come a long way, and there's a lot to be said for new voices and new opinions. So we don't want to get stagnant, you know. And sometimes people, when they're there too, you know, they're there too long, they kind of get ground in. I mean, I know I've changed my attitude about what the district's all about, and you have to. You have to go with the times, and you have to listen to what the public says, and what the community groups say, and what the people who are interested in our environment say, and you have to work with these people. So I'm excited about having new blood on the board and new opinions. I think it's good. It's good for every agency.
How about you, Tom, as a
Sounds good
newcomer?
to me, but I guess what I'm interested in, though, is growing up in Palos, we were along the Calsag River, and I've always been interested in the environment and the water there. And I guess that's what kind of sparked my interest in MWRD. And with all these new programs we're having, with cleaner water, you know, this disinfecting program, maybe improving the river walk, improving the river, it's just kind of exciting to me with the environment. And I think we complement each other because we both, our team offers different things as far as the campaign's going, so I think we have a lot of cohesion in helping us win this election.
And
Without giving away secrets. But
yeah, I don't want you to give anything away. But I do want to say that I think it's very interesting to have somebody who's been a veteran member of the board working with people who are coming in with new ideas. I think that's a very healthy way to run, and the three of you getting together, I think, is bringing a nice mix.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed my campaigning with Tom and Adam. It's been great. You know, they've added a lot to the campaign. Of course, you know, me being a veteran, I have the experience with how the agency is run, and I also have the experience of running campaigns. I've done it a few times, and but you know, their input has been valuable, and I think it'd be great to be on the board with them. I'm excited about it.
And we do have early voting going on right now, and that goes on till the 15th of March. So there's still time to do an early vote, and early voting is available in the suburbs at numerous locations. The courthouses, the suburban district courthouses
41.
have them. There's 41 places total, right?
He did his research for me for Chicago.
Most village halls for all the different municipalities have it, and you can go anywhere in suburban Cook County if you're a suburban voter and vote. So, for instance, you may be a resident of Midlothian, but you work in Oak Lawn. You can go to the Oak Lawn location and identify yourself, and they will find you in the voter rolls and make sure you get the right electronic ballot then to vote. So you're not confined to just going to your individual village or town hall. And in the city of Chicago, it's the same thing. Every ward of the 50 wards has a early voting location, often in parks or schools. And
Libraries sometimes.
libraries.
Yeah.
And again, any resident of the city of Chicago can vote anywhere in the city of Chicago early. You don't have to be in your own ward. So both the county clerk and the city of Chicago have early voting available at their offices at 69 West Washington. It's down in the Pedway, and there's one room where the county early voting is going on, and there's another one where the city's going on. So you still have time to do that, and that way, particularly with this weather, you don't want to take a chance on March 18th being 2 feet of snow or something. Go in and early vote. It's very easy. It's very simple. It's done on the touchscreen machines, and you can vote for candidates such as Cindy and Tom, and get that out of the way, and know that your vote, and Adam, and you know that your vote's going to count, and you don't have to worry about getting tied up on election day due to weather or something else. So take advantage in the next week and do that.
Yeah, now that's 9 to 5, is it, or 9 to 6?
It's usually 9 to 5, and
It's Monday through Friday, and Saturday 9 to 3, and Sundays you can do it at the Board of Elections.
at 69 West Washington, right? They have Sunday voting at 69 West Washington. So it's pretty accessible. If you work downtown, for instance, you can go over to 69 West Washington on your lunch hour or a coffee break or something and get it done. They have a lot of voting stations, so there's never usually a long line, except maybe the last day. A lot of people show up the last day to early vote. But any other time, you can just bring your voter identification, and you'll be able to cast a ballot and get that done, because it makes it easier. And this is an election where all the election authorities I've talked to, Avi, are talking about this could be a record low turnout because of so many uncontested races.
Yeah, well, especially on the Democratic ticket, there's a lot of action, but it's important that voters come out and vote. I mean, there's our race, obviously, that I'm real interested in, but there's all these judicial races that are so important that you know, people take the time to come out and vote for them because, you know, then it matters, you know,
Yeah,
I mean.
if people ever actually appear before a judge, they'll find out how important a judge could be in their life.
Absolutely.
And Tom, you're an attorney, so you're conversant with that very, very closely.
Sometimes they're the most important people you're electing on the ballot, so especially they have your life in their hands. So
Literally sometimes.
Yeah.
financially
Yeah, and well, these guys, well, the clean water is important, but I don't really think I'm too worried about, you know, too much. Yeah, you know, it's funny, we take it for granted here.
Yeah, well, because we're very fortunate. Not only do we take the clean water for granted that we treat, but we take Lake Michigan for granted too.
No, it's 100% true. And by the way, I don't usually drink bottled water, but this is what got snuck to me in the studio. I drink Chicago tap water almost exclusively at home. You know,
Me
I just
too.
didn't have an extra thing. And I think I can't. It's definitely one of the cleanest waters in town. And when I go to other cities, I do switch to bottled water quite often.
Yeah, I mean, we're so fortunate here to have Lake Michigan as a resource. So
And one of the things the district does is help keep the lake clean.
absolutely, we're protecting it.
Yeah, the fact is, at one point in time, it was dozens, if not more times a year, that the locks would open to allow the overfill of untreated sewage into Lake Michigan. And now maybe once, it's only when these every 100-year rainfalls come 2 or 3 times a year that it happens.
Yeah, I don't know why they call them 100-year storms, but they should call them, you know, 3 times a year storm or something, right? So.
Cindy, where are things at with the deep tunnel and the reservoir systems? Because that's supposed to relieve the need to do
Yes, the
some of
tunnel.
that.
Well, the tunneling is done. There's 120 some miles of tunneling. The reservoir out near O'Hare, the Gloria Majewski Reservoir that we named after my colleague that retired, that's completed and operational. And then we have 2 more reservoirs that will service the city of Chicago, primarily in the southern suburbs. So they should be online within the next 2 to 3 years. And when that happens, we'll be able to hold and treat, you know, a heck of a lot more water, and it'll really make a big difference when we have these 3 times a year, 100-year storms. I mean, when we have 3 or 4 inches fall within an hour, I mean, we can't build enough infrastructure to hold that kind of rain. But average to like a heavy rainstorm, we'll be able to contain that and treat it and relieve some of the flooding. So it's. And with that, we're doing a lot of projects to help people too with flooding, with the stormwater management. We're getting involved with the watersheds and letting the people decide the priority for the projects. And we have the money, and we're working on improving people's lives from flooding all over across the county. So.
And you've also got the rain barrels.
The rain barrels. The rain barrels are hugely popular. You know, we sell them for cost. You can go on our website and order one. A lot of the municipalities have them. They get them from us, and then they distribute them, and they're great. I mean, I have one myself, and it's a great resource. You save the water and use it for your garden. And Avi, you know, it'd be perfect for you if you don't have one already.
No, as a matter of fact, I do have some containers out, but I don't have the actual rain barrel.
We'll have to get you one.
That's on the list this year, that's for
Yeah, we'll
sure.
have to get you one.
You know, we're splitting this into 2 half-hour shows, and this is pretty much it for the first half hour, but I want to thank very much my guests and Jim's guests, Cynthia Santos, Tom Courtney. Adam McWest couldn't be here. I'm voting for all 3 of them come Election Day. Jewish Chicago endorses them. I know Jim likes these guys too. It's 71, 75, and 76 on the ballot. We urge you to punch them. On your way out, by the way, take extra Jewish Chicago's if you'd like to show people your
Okay,
endorsement.
sure.
Thank you.
You can take just about the whole pile if you want, so feel free. And
Yeah, and a reminder, you can vote for all 3 of these candidates. This isn't a race where you only can vote for one person.
Yeah, it's kind of unique.
It is unique.
Yeah,
So
it's-
make sure you use all 3 votes and make sure you vote for these 3 people because they're very well qualified and they've got a lot of good ideas and a lot of energy they're going to bring to the future.
Thank you.
Well, thanks
no,
for
we want
having
to
us.
thank you very much. And listen, I hope you guys win come Election Day.
Thanks,
Thank
Avi.
you.
I wish I could vote
Okay.
more than once, but they don't let me do that anymore. Well, they never did.
Sorry.